Back again with another torch review. This time it's the JETBeam RRT2 Raptor, and this was sent in via the company for review. This is another tactical torch, and it's similar to the 3MS, but it does have the magnetic control ring. I'll just skip through the box just to show you some of the specs. There are some differences between the two, and I'll talk about those a little bit later on. Sizes and weight are on the screen. It does have a very similar look to the previous JETBeam that I looked at in terms of the finishing. Feels very nice. Does have that magnetic control ring as well. That's quite a decent feedback on that. There's not too much resistance. Pretty good amount of grip on that as well because of the indents and pattern that they've put on it. That hole there is for adding a lubricant such as oil. I asked JETBeam on that, and that's what they said it was. There's your switch at the bottom with the U-shape. I quite like the gunmetal finish on this. There's the LED. We have a textured reflector. Stainless steel bezel at the top. Overall, no complaints at all with the finishing. It does feel very nicely made, and that's what I expect from JETBeam. They do have very good finishing. Quick look on the inside. There's your spring, and this is the battery that they've supplied. For some reason, it's micro USB 21700. Type-C might have been better, but it is what it is. Inside there is the spring at the top, so these springs top and bottom. Square cut threads, quite a decent amount of lubricant that they've put on there. Now if you want to attach the clip to this, you do have to pull back that rubber tactical ring to fit that. That's a little bit of a shame. I would have liked a design where you could have had both of them at the same time. We'll move on to the user interface now, and because we've just got that single control ring, it does make things quite simple. So what you do is you just rotate fully left for the low and then up to the right to go through the 4 power levels. That keeps things nice and simple, although we don't have any markings on the barrel there. That would have been nice. Once you've got to the turbo mode, then the next rotation to the right, that takes you to your strobe modes, and you just half press to cycle through each of those. It's nice that it does remember the setting that you're on, so you can go straight back to what you want, such as the battery check or the strobe mode that you prefer. And I've also put the levels on there for the battery check, 1 to 4 flashes, slightly different spacing from the 3MS, but you do have a 4-stage flasher indicator for the battery. Some of the included items, we've got a fairly standard holster. It's a neoprene style, similar to the other ones that I've looked at from JETBeam. You do have the loop there. Not everyone likes the thicker padded case, but it does give decent protection. Bit tricky to put this in because you do have the rubber tactical ring that does grip a little bit, but otherwise relatively decent holster included. Other included items are the 2 spare O-rings, clip and the switch cover, and they've also given you a fairly standard sort of strap here with the micro USB cable which you'll need for the battery. There's the user guide and your warranty card. I will put that up on screen in a second. Quick comparison with the 3MS. You can see we have some pros and cons with both. The 3MS does have the Type-C charging port, and the battery level indicator is on the switch. In terms of size, the new model is actually slightly shorter, but there's very little in it, and they're both using the same LED and reflector. One thing I do like about these newer JETBeams is you can use the unprotected batteries as well. Here's an unprotected 21700. Not the fastest charging speed on the battery, but no problems with termination. I'll just put up the user guide now for you. Very simple torch to operate, but it does cover some of the details and spec just in case you wanted to have a look over that. Moving on to the beam shots now, we've got the Unicorn, quite a warm light on this, modest output, 850 lumens. We move over to the Raptor now, and that's starting off at 200, then 800, and I'll take it up to the turbo mode, which is 2080 lumens. You're honestly not going to notice any difference between the beam from this and the 3MS. The 80 lumens is pretty much invisible. You'll never actually see the difference, but you do have a more even spacing because you have an extra power level on that. Quite like the beam on these JETBeam torches because it does have that hot spot in the middle, but a decent amount of spread as well. So even at the lower power levels, it does actually spread out quite nicely at around about the sort of medium settings. Time for a few more beam shots, and I'll give you a summary at the end of the video. Just to give you a few of my thoughts on the Raptor, the new model, I actually quite like this. There are a few compromises, I think, compared to the 3MS. You do lose that power level, so you've got 4 instead of 5. I think 4 works okay, just you have a better, more even spread on the 3MS. I'd also like to see some markings on the barrel for the levels that you're on or the mode. But on the upside, I do like the finishing. The rotary ring is very nice to use, good feedback off of it. I'm very happy with the beam on this, and you do have an option to take 3 different types of batteries, and quite a nice bundle that they've included overall. Got any thoughts on this? Do drop me a comment below, and stick around, more videos coming. Thanks for watching.